Welcome to this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live, the show which ensures that you profit from your time spent here with experts, either through their industry insights, information, or simply learning from them. And today we have with us Ursula Mentjes, best-selling author, CEO, business coach, and we'll learn from her about mindset shift and simple strategies that can help entrepreneurs break income ceilings and scale fast. We'll learn about eliminating limiting beliefs, master follow-ups, and also take a quantum leap in their business success. Welcome to the show, Ursula.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here with you and with all of your listeners, and I can't wait to see what unfolds today.
You are welcome. Welcome to the show, Ursula. Welcome to India in this online form. And I'm sure not just in India, but a lot of people across the globe will benefit from what we are going to talk right now. We'll talk about how small businesses can double their revenues, work less, and by thinking big. We'll learn all about this. But before that, very quickly, Ursula, if you can tell us a bit about your journey, your background, so that people know who they are listening to.
Yeah, of course. So I consider myself an accidental salesperson and business person. Like I never thought I was going to be in sales or business. That was never my goal. I grew up on a farm and in southern Minnesota, which is the northern part of the United States. It's the center of North America. That's kind of where Minnesota is. And grew up working really hard. I had a lot of limiting beliefs about money, though. I thought you had to work really hard physically. Like on a farm, it was a lot of physical labor, and thought you had to work really hard to make any amount of money. And so I took that belief into the corporate world, which in some ways was really good because I went from being an outside salesperson who hated, I don't like to use that word lightly, but I really disliked everything about selling. I learned how to sell. I taught myself how to sell. I worked hard. And in 5 years, I went from being an outside sales rep to president of a $20 million company at the age of 27. And I share that with you not to say, look what I did. I share it with you because I didn't know anything about selling or business or anything else, but that, like growing up on a farm, learning how to work hard and just follow through, that resilience helped me learn how to sell. And eventually then I launched my own company.
Absolutely, absolutely. So one thing I understood was the importance of a script, So we'll talk about that, the sales part, and you also talk about the script part. We'll learn about that. But before that, let's talk a bit about limiting beliefs. What are some of these limiting beliefs that can stall one's business growth? Help us understand forget about business growth, even setting up a business itself, Ursula.
Yeah. So on my journey, as I was coaching sales professionals and business owners, I kept seeing and noticing that, we make up a lot of stories, which turn into beliefs about why we can't do something, that it's hard to grow a business. It's hard to start a business. It's hard to sell, all of those things. And when you start to dig under those beliefs, you start to realize that it's not really about things being hard or challenging, not that they can't feel like that sometimes, but it's really just about we don't know what we don't know. And also our beliefs stem from past experiences, right? And so if we don't believe we're enough, or we don't believe we're good enough to have a business, right? Or we think that's for other people, that can really get in our way. And that inspired me to get certified in NLP. NLP is neuro-linguistic programming. So when I got my coaching certification, I also got certified in NLP, and it really helped me understand the power of the subconscious mind and how limiting beliefs can stop us right in our tracks. For example, if we believe that we are being pushy as salespeople, if we reach out, or if we do our marketing, or if we follow up more than twice, then we're going to stop ourselves from actually picking up the phone. And I help clients shift that belief. We can, even right now, really quickly, what I would do with someone, if they came to me and said, I don't want to be perceived as being pushy, I would say, well, that's probably the thing that's stopping you right now in your business. And is it even true? And what I find with most of the people that end up in my world and probably in your world, they're heart-centered entrepreneurs, business owners who really just want to make a difference in the world. And so we challenge that belief. And I challenge that belief by saying and asking, what are 3 things that are potentially not true about your limiting belief? So what are 3 things about you being pushy in the sales process if you follow up more than a couple times? And what they start to realize is that they're not being pushy. They're actually serving the client. They're actually showing how much they care. They actually do want to make a difference, because the truth is, if people don't buy our products or services, they might not move forward in their business or their lives. And then we're doing a disservice. So you move from this limiting belief of I'm being a pushy salesperson to I am a professionally persistent problem solver, right? When you can come from that space of I'm just here to solve problems and meet needs. And if I can help you, great, I will. And if I can't, I'll refer you to somebody else. When you make it about them instead of about you, it starts to open up a lot of doors.
Absolutely. Absolutely, Ursula. So, see, everyone wants a lot of business. Everyone is working hard. But here you are solving the bigger problem is that you can double your revenue, do it at a fast pace, and with less work. It sounds like magic. What is this magic about? I do just thinking, and if this magic will happen, or does something have to happen on the ground? You talk about 3 key strategies to double sales as a small business owner. People would want to certainly learn about this, Ursula.
Yeah. So there are 3 key steps, and it's not magic, although it can feel magical at times. I love to combine strategy with quantum strategy and mindset. I love to bring those pieces together, because it's not just about sitting on the couch and hoping it's going to happen. Like, you actually have to do something. But what is that thing that you can do that makes it easier? Number 1 of these 3 steps is to get really clear on your next level revenue goal. For most of our clients, it's a double, right? So if you're at 20,000 a month in revenue and you want to be at 40,000 a month, right? So it's setting that first clear revenue goal and then reverse engineering how to get there. By the way, and I'm sure you're doing this as well, we're using AI a lot now to even help us double our sales even faster. And so if you're not leaning into AI yet, that's a place I would look, because it's definitely can help you get there even faster. It can help support this process. So number 1, again, is to get clear on your revenue. What's the next level? And I like to break it down by month. So if you're at 20,000 a month, you want to be at 40,000 a month. Well, to get to 40,000 a month, what do I need to do to get there, right? So that's step number 2 is, once you get clear, then reverse engineer the process. So if it's 40,000, I'm going to use easy math. If it's 40,000 a month and your average sale is $10,000, right? We need 4 sales a month. And if 50% of your prospects convert when you talk to them, then you need to have 8 high quality conversations a month with prospects to reach your goal. You have to break that process down so it becomes clear in your mind, right? Break it down to exactly what would have to happen for you to get there. In other words, if everything were true in my business, what would I need to do? What would need to be true for me to get to that 40,000 a month? From there, the third step then is a little bit of what we already did, is to confront your limiting beliefs about it. Because if you don't do that, you can stay stuck where you are. So ask yourself this question. What is my number 1 limiting belief about getting to 40,000 a month? Is it, I don't think there's enough business out there? Is it, imposter syndrome? Who am I to be at 40,000 a month? And then walk yourself through the process we did before. Ask yourself, what are 3 things that are potentially not true about that limiting belief? Because you'll find gold in there, and then you can shift to a new, more empowering belief that you can actually get there.
Absolutely, absolutely, Ursula. Now let's come to the sales part. You talk about this whole sales part, but before that, you talk about working less. Why work less? Can you do less work? Means it sounds music. Earlier we talked about magic. Now it's music to ears, especially small business owners. How can you do less work? I would also like to learn this from you.
Our clients on average like to work about 25 hours a month. And most of it is because they're parents. We have a lot of moms who own businesses that work for us. So they like to work between school hours. So that means they have, when you shrink the amount of hours you want to work, let's say you're working 40 hours a week and you want to work 25 hours a week. The first step is to build a schedule. If I'm going to work 25 hours a week, is that 5 hours a day for 5 days? What is it? Create that intentional schedule and then ask yourself, how do I need to time block, and what needs to be true in those 5 days with those 5 hours for me to be able to do that? And often what it means is that you need to delegate, right? And you don't have to have a big team. A lot of our clients have, multi-6, multi-7 figure companies with very small teams. So for many of them, it's like, one or two very part-time in our world today, virtual assistants who can take on that amount of work. What's powerful is to realize that when you delegate, you create a compound effect in your business, right? So people I get it. Like business owners don't want to delegate. It's like, I want to hold on to this. I can only do this right. But that is keeping you stuck where you are. Fine. I mean, there's amazing, virtual assistants out in the world who are also leaning into AI right now. AI is also an amazing tool to help you get a lot of things done if you can build custom GPTs or agents, right, to help you do the work. So this is a time where we should be working less and less. And when you work less and get your company up and running, that means that you can actually scale your company because it's less and less about you. And I believe that the less you work, the more you have time to do other things. Like a lot of our clients have nonprofits, right? They want to give back to their community, want to spend time with family and friends. They want to paint, whatever it is, right? Like those things that feed your soul that make you even better in your company. Or some people want to start other companies. I have to tell you, we had one client who was working 100 hours a week. He's an engineer. He learned how to sell. He learned how to delegate. He grew a 7-figure company and went from working 100 hours a week to 40, which for him, like he cut off 60 hours a week. He did that by hiring one person, one executive assistant who was also only working 40 hours a week. So they're both working 40. What happened, right? So that's 80 hours. What happened to the other 20 hours? They disappeared because he had the right systems and processes in place. So all of that has to work together, but you get to choose, right? You get to choose how many hours a week you want to work.
Absolutely. Now, scaling business fast and talk about sales. And you talk about sales script. Tell us about this. How do I make sales? Does a script work? Every conversation is different. How does this script come into the picture? Tell us in a bit of detail so that we can understand this.
Great question. Thank you for asking. It's one of my favorite things to think about because when people hear sales script, typically they think, oh, cold calling. Like I don't need a sales script because I'm not a cold caller. Cold calling meaning you're calling companies that have never heard from you. That's not what I'm talking about. A sales script is basically a conversation, a bullet pointed conversation that you're going to have with a client that has key elements in it. Okay. Most people, unless you're selling a smaller online product, then this probably wouldn't apply to you. You might have a different kind of script in how you communicate with your customers. But for most people who are in service-based businesses or who have, sell something that's more than $1,000, you're probably having conversations with prospective clients. And that's where a sales script is really, really helpful because it guides the conversation, right? Millions and millions of dollars are missed because business owners aren't having productive conversations with prospects. And here's a simple example, right? If someone wants to buy from you, let's say they send you an email. They really want to buy from you. They seem really interested. They're asking a lot of questions. Rather than trying to answer those questions over email, I highly recommend that you set up a time to have a separate conversation. And so you could just reply to them and say, hi, Shelly, it's so great to hear from you. We work with a lot of companies like yours and, we help solve problem X, X, and X. And I'd love to explore if we could do the same for you. Here's my Calendly link. Click on it and let's find a time to talk. So it's very intentional in moving that sales conversation down the road. You can do that in Facebook. You can do that in LinkedIn. You can do it anywhere. And even you can do it on a cold basis too, meaning you haven't connected with them in LinkedIn by simply using a sales script where you introduce yourself in one sentence, and then you talk about the problem you solved and the need you meet. You share a quick success story of how you've helped other clients in their industry do the same. And then you open up a time to meet with them. And I'll tell you, like, people are always shocked. They're always shocked that this can actually work. And it can work via email. It can work via social media messaging. It can work via people do still use phones and call people, right? So it can work in all those different ways. And it's just a simple process. In fact, it's one of the things we're going to give away today. If anyone's interested, we're going to give away our sales script. So there you go.
Absolutely. So this sales script works very well. What about follow-up? Because the client has gone, potential client has gone, and you just do not know how to, you don't want to disturb them. You don't want to irritate them, but you also want to have the sale for you. How do you do that?
Such a good question. So first, let me say this. Whenever you have a sales meeting with someone, you want one of three things to happen, okay? Either they buy from you and they're your client or your customer, okay? That's done sale. Or you get a no and it's fine. Like you've served them because you know it's not a fit, they know it's not a fit, or you refer them. Or number three, and this is the step that most people miss, and it costs your company thousands and thousands of dollars. The third step is to get a next step on the calendar. So if they haven't said no, but maybe they need to talk to a business partner, maybe they have to figure out how to pay for it, then you can simply say, all right, when do you think you'll be able to look at your bank account or like your credit card? When do you think you'll know how you're going to pay for it? And they say Friday. I would say, great. Let's what time? And they say 10 o'clock. By 10 in the morning, I'll know. Let's book another time, just 20 minutes to connect on Zoom or by phone, right? Let's book that time on the calendar so we can talk about it. That step is missed. It costs people millions of dollars. And I can't stress that enough. So that's the front end. Now, let's say you didn't know that and you missed the step. Totally get it. You didn't know, right? And you have people who seem interested, but they've gotten away, right? Or they've ghosted you. So this is where you want to use the sales script we talked about and send a follow-up message to them and just check, repeat back whatever conversation you had. Like, hey, Shelly, last time we talked, I know you really wanted to increase your sales and, you were going to think about coming to one of our upcoming classes. That's awesome. Let's do this. I want to be able to answer all your questions. Let's book another time to chat through any questions you might have. And then I would include my Calendly link, or I would mention times when I'm available. Very intentionally book another time to talk to them. The sale is not lost until you have a no. It's not lost. So that you want to follow up. And statistically, so important, you have to follow up often 5 or more times to close a sale. 5 or more times. And statistically, only 10% of us follow up 5 or more times. That means you're losing money. So you can easily reset that appointment today. Go back through your email list. Look at the conversations you've been having. Look at your CRM, right? Who wasn't a no, right? Who's still out there? Book another time to talk to them and keep following up. I've had clients tell me they followed up 11 times, 20 times. Like when you keep following up, you show that customer, that client, that you really care about them and you want to make a difference.
Absolutely. There is much to learn from you about all this, Ursula, and I'm sure a lot of people, a lot of small businesses would like to connect with you, learn more from you about all these things, from your podcast, Quantum Revenue Expansion. You are the podcast host for that, from also your book. What is the best way for them to do so?
Yeah, our website is ursulainc.co. And also I'm on Facebook as Ursula Mentjes, Mentjes. I'm on Instagram. I'm on LinkedIn. I'm on TikTok, and YouTube. We hang out in a lot of places, so you can find a lot of free content there. And also, we're excited to give your audience the free gift of our course, Nail Your Sales Script, which will be in the show notes. So I highly recommend download it, enjoy it. It's an extension of all the things that we talked about today.
Wonderful. With this, it's a wrap on this very special edition of the KJ Masterclass Live. Thank you so much indeed for joining us.